Audio test one for the meeting stream. Audio test two for the meeting stream.
Good morning, committee members. Good morning, members of the public. Good morning, staff. Let's get this meeting underway. It is meeting number 52 of the Planning and Housing Committee. I would like to acknowledge that Ottawa is located on the unceded and never surrendered territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation, whose culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. Il est important de souligner que la ville d'Ottawa se trouve sur un territoire non cédé de la nation algonquine Anishinaabe, dont la culture et la présence ont enrichi et continuent d'enrichir ces terres. May I get a roll call, please?
Councillor Brockington,
Here.
Councillor Curry,
Here.
Councillor Dudas,
Ici.
Councillor Johnson. Councillor Kavanaugh,
Present.
Councillor Kelly,
Present.
Councillor Kitts,
Here.
Councillor Lowe, Councillor Tierney,
Present.
Councillor Troster,
Here.
and Vice Chair Gower.
Here.
Chair, you have quorum.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, did Councillor Lowe indicate his presence? Councillor Lowe is here, but apparently has not been promoted in the Zoom call yet. This is a public meeting to consider the proposed comprehensive official plan and zoning bylaw amendments listed as items 4.1 to 4.4 on today's agenda. For the items just mentioned, only those specifically identified in the Planning Act who make oral submissions today or written submissions before the amendments are adopted may appeal the matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal. In addition, the applicant may appeal the matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal if council does not adopt an amendment within 90 days of receipt of the application for a zoning bylaw amendment and 120 days for an official plan amendment. To submit written comments on these amendments prior to their consideration by City Council on September 10th, 2025, please email or call the committee or council coordinator. Are there any declarations of interest? See any? Let me just get my Zoom back up. Nope, thank you. Are the minutes of our meeting number 51, August 20th, confirmed? Thank you. Running through the agenda, I think we can dispense with a lot of these on consent. At 1174 Carp Road, there are no delegations. We haven't received any correspondence. Did any members wish to have this held for a presentation? I don't see any. To the applicants, I know Jacob with Foten and team are here. If the committee is prepared to carry this, do you still wish to speak? All good. I know Vice Chair Gower had asked for an opportunity to say a few quick words on this.
Thanks, Chair. We did have one formal letter from a resident on this. I want to refer my colleagues to my councillor comments. I won't read all of them, but I wanted to highlight one paragraph, and it's about what we are hearing consistently from residents in Stittsville and Canada and Barrhaven and Orleans. We are seeing a tremendous amount of growth currently in our neighborhoods and planned for our neighborhoods. And I think residents have legitimate concerns about the adequacy of municipal and provincial infrastructure and amenities, whether that's roads and transit, rec centers, police stations, libraries, or whether that's access to a doctor, wait times at emergency rooms or schools. These are legitimate concerns. We are accepting the growth because we know there's a housing crisis, but I want to emphasize that we still need more support, financial support from the provincial and federal governments to support the incredible amount of housing growth that our suburban neighborhoods are seeing. I won't limit it to suburban. I know it's all over the city, but we have some unique needs in the suburbs as well. So I will be supporting this application, but I just wanted to highlight again that to acknowledge, I think residents are right when they are telling us they have serious concerns about the quality of life within their communities. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Colleagues, is that item carried?
Carried.
We also have the zoning bylaw amendment for 484 Hazeldean Road. We haven't received, there are no delegations. There was some correspondence on this one. I hadn't anticipated the presentation, but do members wish to have a presentation for it? I don't see that. So to Saeed and Mark from Foten, if the committee is prepared to carry this, do you still wish to speak? Wonderful. Thank you. Colleagues, is this one carried?
Carried.
Thank you. We have the application at 1657 Carling and 386 Tilbury in beautiful Kitchissippi Ward. We haven't received, there are no delegations. We haven't received correspondence on it. I hadn't anticipated a presentation. Did members wish to receive a presentation on this one or have it held for comment? No. To Scott and Brian at Votan, if the committee is prepared to carry this, did you still wish to speak? Thank you. Colleagues, is this one carried?
Carried.
Thank you very much. The item at Baribeau, we have public delegations. We'll have a presentation, and so we'll hold that item. The Class 4 noise classification for 25 Pickering Place. I hadn't anticipated the presentation. We don't have any delegations. There was no correspondence. Did members wish to have a presentation or have this one held for discussion? I don't see that. Scott at Colonnade Bridgeport is online. Mr. Penton, if the committee is prepared to carry this, did you still wish to speak? Oh, I'm sorry. You're good. Oh, hey, how's it going? I'm just looking to see, I know Councillor Carr, I think had all good. Okay, colleagues, is this item carried?
Carried.
Thank you. And then just so we can let Carol go if we can, the information previously distributed, a status update on the new zoning bylaw final draft. I think everyone on the committee is aware that that final draft will be out for circulation on September the 8th. It's getting very close to completion. The Carol and team are here to answer any questions about it if need be. Did anyone wish to have that item lifted? No? Is that received? Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much. So we'll go back to the substantive item on the agenda, which is the zoning bylaw amendment for 200 Baribeau. And I'll just note we're joined by the ward councillor, Stephanie Plante. Thank you for being here, Stephanie. We'll receive a presentation. We'll hear from the public delegations. Our council has a quick comment to make, and then we'll proceed to a vote. Gentlemen, we're in your hands whenever you're ready.
Good morning, and thank you for the introduction. My name is Jean-Charles Renaud. Today, we're talking about 200 Baribeau Street. Next slide, please. So the property is located east of downtown within the Vanier neighborhood. It is east of the Rideau River. Next slide, please. The property has an area of approximately 12,000 square meters. It is southwest of the intersection of Baribeau and Landry streets. It is also abutting the existing Saint-Ambroise Park, and is the site, or formerly included a school site, which has since been demolished. Next slide, please. So brief history. In 2020, site plan control application and zoning bylaw applications were received. It sought the facilitation of the construction of a planned unit development for townhouse dwellings fronting on new private streets internal to the site, featuring driveways leading to attached garages. The proposal also included the expansion of the Saint-Ambroise Park. 2022, Council approved the rezoning application, and lands were rezoned to R4 UA with a site-specific exception, and also rezoned the property, or the park property, to an O1 zone. The proposal was for planned unit development, which included 85 townhouse dwellings, as described above. Thus, associated site plan control was not approved at the time, or was never approved. Next slide, please. In 2024, a revised concept plan was received and circulated, and the proposal was described as 94 townhouse dwellings, each having 2 additional dwelling units for a total of 282 dwelling units. Given the additional dwelling units' primary access being given via common corridor on the 2nd and 3rd floors, staff did not agree to the type of dwelling being defined as townhouse dwellings, and as such, the proposal was not deemed to be zoning compliant. An appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal was filed by the applicant on January 17th, 2025 for failure to approve plans. In order to permit the development to move forward, staff have initiated this rezoning application. The city-initiated rezoning demonstrates the intent to support the development on this property with up to 282 dwelling units in a manner that adopts a form-based zoning approach rather than specific land use typologies. This approach is in keeping with the direction of the new draft zoning bylaw under comprehensive review. Next slide, please. So this is the previous or the original site plan proposal. You'll notice the interior private streets proposed, the new park expansion, and the individual driveways leading to individual garages. You'll notice also the street accesses from Baribeau and one from Landry streets. Next slide, please. This is the most recent current site plan proposal. Of note is you note there's no longer any private streets. We have a single driveway accessed from Baribeau Street leading to a surface parking lot. We also see a centralized bike storage and waste management building along with a courtyard amenity plaza. There are also other smaller bike rooms and waste management rooms throughout the site to add functionality. And also note that the parkland dedication is also bigger than the previous iteration of the proposal and features the full 10% parkland dedication. Next slide, please. The current landscaping plan, which shows the many tree plantings and soft landscaping around the perimeter of the site, as well as along the interior of the site where permissible. You'll also notice that central plaza amenity area that I noticed or I mentioned earlier on in the middle. Next slide, please. The proposed zoning, the R4 UA with site-specific exception 2761 is to remain. Additional provisions are proposed for the existing exception. The permitted use of a multi-unit residential building is proposed to be added. Maximum of 9 multi-unit residential buildings and a total of 282 units are to be permitted on the site. A maximum height for a multi-unit residential building of 11 meters is proposed, and that is consistent with both apartment dwelling typologies and townhouse building typologies in the current R4 zone. Required parking spaces and required visitor parking spaces are to be 63 spaces and 9 spaces respectively. Vehicular parking may be located within a rear or interior side yard. Minimum setback for bike storage, and those are the smaller bike storage or accessory buildings that I noticed mentioned earlier. Those can be located 1.5 meters from a side lot line and 0.7 meters from another building. Minimum amenity area is to be provided at a rate of 6 square meters per unit, which is consistent with the zoning bylaws requirements. However, it could be provided in any combination of private and communal. And also amenity area could be located within a provided front and or provided corner yard. Next slide, please. Staff support the proposed zoning bylaw amendment to facilitate the redevelopment of the property for up to 282 units and recommend approval of this application. The proposal will provide an increased housing stock on a vacant parcel of land, contributing to the creation of missing middle housing and improvement of a 15-minute neighborhood. The proposal is appropriate for the development, and it reflects a building envelope which provides the public realm and provides for an urban pattern of development consistent with the policy framework while respecting the low-rise character of the neighborhood. The proposal is consistent with the city's official plan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we do have a motion on this one that I'll ask Vice Chair Gower to introduce.
Thanks, Chair. Whereas to permit a resolution of the site plan matter currently before the Ontario Land Tribunal, a modification to the details of the zoning for 200 Barbeau is supported by planning staff. Therefore, be it resolved that the details of the zoning contained within document 2, section 1, clause B, to the report on 200 Barbeau be amended as follows. A, under bullet 1, delete the text subject to the following definition and also delete item 1 under the first bullet in clause 1B being 1, a multi-use residential building is a residential building consisting of multiple dwelling units. B, replace the text in bullet 3 in clause 1B being maximum residential parking spaces, 63 parking spaces with minimum residential parking spaces after the first 12 spaces, 0.2 spaces per unit. And be it further resolved that pursuant to subsection 3417 of the Planning Act, no further notice be given.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. We have 2 public delegations to speak, so I'll ask Kelly to get Mr. Rob South and Mr. Chris Greenshields teed up. We'll then move to the owner representative, Michael Paulowin, if he wishes to say a few words, and then we can move into questions for staff. So, Mr. South, the committee is prepared to hear your presentation.
Hi, am I able to do slides from remote? I have a PowerPoint that I'd prefer to do, but I can just speak if people prefer.
I'm sorry, the committee coordinator is just checking to see if we have your slides prepared to put up.
No, when I emailed to present, I said I'd like to do slides, but I never heard back on that. All I got back was a link. I have it on my computer now. If not, I can just speak. I'm more than capable of just speaking to the matter, but it would be more illustrative with slides.
Okay, you know what? We're going to give you permission to share your slides.
Thank you. Very kind of you. It still says host is disabled screen. Well, that gets set up, by the way. I'm Robert South. I'm a resident of Heure Private, which is one of the adjoining developments next door to the proposed development on 200 Barry Bow. I'm presenting on behalf of not only myself, but a group of my neighbors who share similar concerns with the development. I still can't share right now. The gist of my presentation.
That just opened up for you.
Okay. Let's do this. All right. Is that now on everyone's screen?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Happy to give you some latitude here.
Thank you.
Looking good.
So basically, we feel that the approach that's being put in now, unlike the original approach, is not a missing middle approach. And in fact, it's failing to show balance for families in our community. And this is mostly based on cumulative effects. You have a great city plan, not perfect. I'm sure you guys go through it a lot. I have. It's very big, but it encourages the design of buildings to be able to meet the needs of families with children. That's part of what the missing middle is about. And that's part of what cumulatively has been left out of Vanier recently. So as you know, the missing middle, it's not single family homes, which we have a lot of in Ottawa. It's not large towers that we've approved a lot of. It's these more dense urban row houses, small developments, but developments that have enough space for multiple room units. Here's an example of what's been approved recently. As you can see, since 2023, overall in the city, close to 80,000 apartments, only about 14,000 row houses, very few semis. So the missing is still the middle is still missing. And a lot has been approved in Vanier, over 400, 500,000, which is amongst the most of all the members on this committee here, for example. So my point is, if there's no room for families, it's not the missing middle. By the way, the street that we're on has a lot of families, and that's part of what we like about it. As you'll see from the original plan versus the current compromise, the original plan had room for families, 92 3-bedroom units. Each had its own garage. It was actually available to purchase. That's no longer the case. The new plan is very crowded, so crowded that it's anticipating trees covering both sides of a building between the little laneway in between, inadequate parking by your own estimations of how many people own cars. The major point here is that if you turn an apartment sideways, it isn't the missing middle and you're leaving families out still. So as I said, this is about cumulative effects. It's not just pulling one Jenga block. It's you pull too many, you build the tower too high. What starts to make things stable falls apart. Here's an example of just some of the large builds within a 10-minute walk by city standards of a 10-minute walk that have been approved in our neighborhood recently or are about to be approved. Lots of large unit, 1 to 2 bedrooms, no space for families. That's against the character of our community. And it's actually also against the city plan, which says that places that aren't corridors like Barrybow are supposed to be missing middle and focus on families. We're not a corridor, we're not a business pathway, etc. I would also say that the current proposal has been inadequately consulted with the community. I drew up a quick timeline here. The really big thing that you need to know is that there was originally a pretty good plan. The community had, some minor disagreements. I did too, but they were minor amendments we were all hoping to see get done and this thing go ahead. It didn't, primarily because of a dispute over tax breaks over the greenfield. All of a sudden, interest rates changed, the housing market changed. And now we're trying to catch up, apparently, by providing the developer a big break to go with lots more units, no space for families, rentals instead of being able to own. I don't have a problem with the rental part, by the way. So what we're asking you is don't let others tear up your plan. Leave enough space in the places where there's supposed to be spaces for families. There's actually a lot of great schools in our neighborhoods. Families should be able to access them by foot as opposed to being bussed in. So just illustratively, which is more appealing to you? The missing middle or when you put a good middle in there? So what we're encouraging you to do with your better choice is send this back to staff to work with the developer. Require the transport impact assessment that hasn't been done. Require more community engagement. The old proposal shouldn't be up on the fence. It should be the new one. Require about 40% of the units to be 3 bedrooms for families. So you're considering lower densification, particularly as this is still actually a floodplain. Sorry, I know that was a bit rushed, but I very much thank the committee for its time and I'm open to questions.
Well, thank you very much for a very thoughtful presentation. Questions from councillors, members? Stephanie Plante. Councillor Plante, please.
Hi, Robert. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation. Can you please email it to me? I don't know. I think I may want to consult with that in some finer moments. Anyway, I just have a question for staff because as someone who is raising their child in a building and not, as you sort of suggested, Robert, where it can get a bit crowded in there. Can you confirm the breakdown of 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom units in this development?
Sorry, do you have questions for the delegation? I'm sorry, I think I may have said questions to staff.
Can I answer that question? Because also I have some other data that's useful.
Please do, Mr. South.
That was in my written submission. So the proposal, as we residents understand it, is to allow each of what was previously a 3-bedroom townhouse to become 3 separate units up to the discretion of the developer. I would point out that CMHC's own rental market data for Ottawa shows that there's been a real softening in demand for exactly the type of units that you're about to allow. And where the pent-up demand is for these larger units that support families.
And you said you lived on Heure Private, right? Which is right next door?
Yes, yeah. You've actually been inside my home. We were pleased to support you.
I was just going to say, I think actually your area is a great example of sort of the missing middle because you do have those stacked townhomes. You do have those townhomes right next to each other and then the buildings off the end. And I know, because I've done a lot of door-to-door in there, that there's a lot of families in there and they do go to our local schools. So I just wanted to commend you guys on that wonderful little neighborhood you have, because it's a gem. It's a gem.
Thank you. I agree. And we'd like to see more like it. That's why we're raising points like this today.
So last question I have for you, because I'm gonna ask some questions about the amenity space after. Can you confirm that you guys do use the Saint Ambroise Park, and in your opinion, does it need to be expanded?
Very much we use the St. Ambroise Park. That was actually one of the few things that caused the delay with the initial development, was that the developer didn't want to give the 10%, wanted cash, and the community wanted the space because there are lots of families in the neighborhood. One of the few things that the park doesn't really have is any shade. And so actually, especially considering that our whole area is part of the 100-year floodplain, it's better to have more absorption for the environment. It's also better to have more shade and more trees to be able to absorb rainfall and other things. It's a popular park, particularly amongst kids in the neighborhood. So yes, it's a well-used park.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any more questions. Merci.
Thank you, Councillor Plante. Mr. South, I don't see any further questions for you, so thank you very much for your presentation today.
Thank you.
Thanks. Alors, nous sommes prêts pour vous, Monsieur Greenshields.
Bonjour, Monsieur Lipa, et merci de votre engagement à ce projet avec le comité. I'm speaking on behalf of the Vanier Community Association. As staff have presented, this project has a long and difficult history, both for the VCA and the applicant, almost 5 years now. It comes with the added costs of building on a floodplain, something we hope the new comprehensive zoning bylaw will more effectively address. Our comments on the latest zoning bylaw amendment are reflected in the staff before you. More than a year ago, the VCA comments on the site plan control application highlighted the issue of the change building typology, indicating that the proposal as revised for site plan control represented not back-to-back, side-by-side townhouses of 3 units with corridors and separate exterior access for 9 apartments, each with 31 units. They are really apartment buildings. And we are glad that after all this time, more than a year, I gather, subject to the review by the city lawyers, the VCA comments were accepted. But it should not have been this way. Our main point was to highlight our concern that this major change in the development from freehold to rental, including proposed city subsidized rents, that the zoning bylaw applied under the then bylaw and the official plan, was that the performance standards applied should be for apartment buildings. For example, the official plan makes provisions for livability with respect of building forms and apartments, paragraph 2.2.4, for the kinds of conditions for livability for, in this case, apartment buildings. In this regard, the interior amenity space, building services such as communal laundry rooms, indoor garbage facilities, accommodation for larger units for families, which, as Robert has stressed, and which are provided specifically in the official plan, which were promised to be improved via the redevelopment of 127 Carillon, which is now no longer in the picture. None of these things were evident nor confirmed. And as for the unit count that Councillor Plant has raised, we never got a breakdown, and it was always still under study. As the applicant indicated that he intended to apply for affordable housing CIP, it was not clear that there were suitable provisions for this kind of housing beyond the rent controls. We are concerned about the increased density to 282 units in 9 blocks. It appears greater than the junior R4 density of 225 units per hectare under the 2020 R4 bylaw. The number of units should be reduced in our view. There was no updated transportation impact assessment for the change, since it was assumed that traffic would be the same as the former school and City of Baribeau Park before their demolition. Not only the previously approved 94 townhouses, but also for the current proposal for 282 units, with more limited parking and the corresponding expectation that residents would have to park on adjacent streets. There were no road modification amendments proposed to facilitate walkability to the nearest bus stop via streets lacking sidewalks currently, Carillon, Kip, and a pedestrian crosswalk at Baribeau Ethel, or more direct access to Carillon via 127 Carillon, which also forms part of this development application. In conclusion, we are looking for from this committee or council is direction to staff that in this bylaw amendment and the site plan control process, that better livability is ensured for residents of this development, taking into account the official plan and the current zoning bylaw. It is not enough to pass livability off as to form-based zoning provisions, which we understand will come with the new comprehensive zoning bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Greenshields. I'm taking a look to see if there are any questions for you. I don't see any from my colleagues, but it would be difficult to direct staff. I just want to make sure I understand your ask. We can't ask staff to focus on livability. What are the specific changes that could be made at site plan that you're seeking?
Well, if it's in the context of the site plan control process, certainly there should be interior amenity space. Every time we raise interior amenity space, which is covered by the zoning, the current comprehensive zoning bylaw, there's only mention of external amenity space. That is, okay. I think, a key concern.
Thank you for that precision. I don't see any further questions for you. Thank you very much for your presentation today. We're going to, do you mind if I go to Mr. Pollowin?
Mr. Chair, I believe it'd be helpful if I went before Mr. Pollowin.
Mr. Mark, I believe you have something you wish to say.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, as the delegate just noted, the landowner's view is that these units are townhomes. A significant purpose of the report and the motion that's been brought before committee today is to eliminate a concern as to whom is correct, whether it, as the landowner suggests, it's townhomes, or as the city staff has suggested, they're apartments. It's simply what the motion does is allow for the term multi-use building to be utilized without providing a definition, and this will enable this project to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We'll go to staff. I want to give an opportunity for Mr. Pollowin on behalf of the landowner to say a few words if you want to take advantage of that, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and thank you, Mr. Mark, for your clarification. That removes that issue from my list. Let me start with saying I want to commend Mr. Mark and city staff for their work, particularly over the last 2 weeks, to try and find a way through the thicket that we had found ourselves in. in general terms, we are supportive of the bylaw as amended by the motion, subject to the fact that we only saw it late yesterday afternoon. If we have concerns, we will certainly comment before this matter goes to council, assuming that it is recommended by this committee. That's all I had to say, and thank you for my time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. I'm just checking to see if their committee members have any questions for you. And I don't see any. Thank you very much for being here today. So we'll move into questions of staff. And I'll defer to the local councillor to go ahead first.
Thank you so much, Chair. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you. So I just have a couple questions, and they're sort of piggybacking on some of the concerns that were raised by the delegation. So can we get a breakdown of the 1, 2, 3 bedrooms? Is that possible?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the 282 unit proposal includes a mix of studio, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom units, and roughly 16.5% of those would be 2 bedrooms. 50% 1 bedroom, 33.3% studio.
Okay. And is there an opportunity at some point, say the construction doesn't start for another 6 months, to work with the community to maybe create some 3 bedrooms, or is this signed, sealed, delivered, and there's no changing anything?
The site plan control application is not approved. I mean, perhaps I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I also,
Sorry, but can I add to that?
yeah, of course.
Chair, I think what's important to note, and I'm going to ad lib from the way that the developer has positioned this proposal, the 282 units is based on the highest density that you would see on this property, where each of the residential buildings would have units on each floor. So 3 units over 3 floors, ranging from, 36 units per building and et cetera. What they have said in this application is that they want to market this development as the ability of each sort of column of units could be 1 unit, 2 unit, or 3 units as market changes. So what you're seeing for you is the highest density that this property would contemplate, with a mix of studio, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom units. It is possible to be developed with less units being larger units, but the zoning in place is to protect that flexibility.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I wanted to touch upon what Robert brought up in terms of what he called the missing middle. Is your opinion that some of these units could be for families, or is it just for singles? Like, I know you said there's some 2 bedrooms, but what is your sort of overall take on the development itself?
So, Mr. Chair, the definition of missing middle housing in the official plan does not include particulars such as size of the dwelling units, but more so the type, as in low-rise dwelling, etc. If you're asking my opinion as to whether or not this is family-oriented, I could very well see families living in 2 bedroom units. And as my manager just said, there is flexibility to provide more of those 2 bedroom units and perhaps larger units. Therefore, yes, it could accommodate families.
And my other question then in regards to that is, if there's families, obviously those people need to get around and they'll be going to our local schools and shopping on Beechwood or Montreal Road. Is there an opportunity in the future to put things in like a pedestrian crosswalk or more stop signs? I know that's not your sort of shop, but those, like, it's not set in stone that those things will never exist, correct?
Mr. Chair, could I ask more for more details onto what exactly is referred to?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the delegations had suggested that there was no sidewalks planned for this development and that they would need a pedestrian crosswalk, but there's nothing preventing me as the council or anyone else to sort of advocate for those things in the coming months and years, correct?
So, Mr. Chair, within the context of the site plan control application, there was mention of a sidewalk along Laurier Street that would be helpful to connect to the one that already exists, I believe, stopping in front of Saint-Ambroise Park. But that those are some things that could continue to evolve during the site plan control process.
Okay.
Beyond that, perhaps it would be as a response to the density seen in the neighborhood and the needs of the neighborhood as time goes on.
Okay, and then for the amenity space that's planned, I saw that it's going to be attaching itself to the Saint Ambroise Park. What is it, just green space that's planned for there? Or do they plan on putting any splash pads, or what's going in that space?
Mr. Chair, we don't have those details so far. The applicant will be providing a base park, and the Parks Department will communicate with the community in order to really program the park once they get to that stage.
Okay, all right, I don't have any more questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brockington.
Thanks, Chair. When staff first review an application and you have your preliminary discussions with an applicant, do you talk about unit preference? Do you look at an existing neighborhood to see what's lacking? I know we're not being asked to vote on the units today. We never have that ability to begin with, but what role do you have in your discussions with an applicant? Say, hey, the city prefers a mixture here. What type of discussions have you had in that?
Mr. Chair, that's definitely part of the discussion. Very early on in the process, we will ask what their intentions are for a mix of units, and we'll direct them towards providing more family-sized units, and we'll encourage them to discuss with the local community associations to get a better feel of what's needed within the community.
Excellent. That's good to hear. But your final recommendation to this committee is not based on whatever unit type the applicant decided upon. Is that correct?
Our recommendation, Mr. Chair, is based on the maximum of 282 units, which is meant for this site only.
Right.
When we're looking at range of housing types and housing sizes, we look at broader areas in order to ensure that the needs are met. But to answer your question, yes, we are proposing or recommending the maximum of 282 units.
Fair enough. And just finally, I'm just doing some quick back of the napkin math here. The original 94 unit, 3 bedrooms, if 4 people occupied each unit, you could have 396 people living in that originally. Now we're at a maximum of 282 one unit, maybe 1.5 people per unit. Some people will be single. Again, similar numbers. So the net difference in the community to me with this application is basically the same, but we're having an arm wrestling match over unit type, which is a preference, right? The committee cannot vote against this today because community's preference is not being met. So of course, I want to see diversity. I have the same discussions in my ward when large developments come in here. At the end of the day, we need to approve developments that house people in the city. So I will be supporting the recommendation, both recommendations before us today. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Tierney.
Great. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mark, I guess this question is just for you. Obviously, we don't have the ability to dictate how people build on their own sites specific to the number of rooms, do we? Would the province look at that and just say, what would the outcome be from a tribunal hearing?
With respect, if I can clarify the question, so I'm answering it, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
With respect to clarifying whether it's
Well, we always want bigger
bedrooms
and bigger and better. I mean, it's really up to people. I always support intensification, say, great, let's go higher. Let's get more units so we can hit those targets and get the money from the province. We have a housing crisis. But of course, market factors, we can't dictate if they're renters or owners. In this situation here, is this not a perfectly acceptable application? The province would just stamp it and say, just get building?
Well, Mr. Chair, you certainly have your planning staff's advice that it is an acceptable application.
Yeah.
Municipalities typically get at larger units by finding means to provide incentives to developers
Right.
as opposed to zoning prescriptions, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, I'd really love to see applicants come in with bigger and better for everything, but the reality is that probably won't even happen. So, okay, I just wanted clarification on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tierney. I don't see any questions remaining for staff. Nope. So is the motion put forward by Vice Chair Gower carried? Thank you. And is the report as amended carried?
Carried.
Thank you very much. I will move to the end of the agenda. We don't have any in-camera items. We've already received the information previously distributed. Are there any notices of motion for subsequent meetings? I don't see any. Does anyone have any inquiries? Questions, things they want to know, curiosities? We don't have any other business. We are adjourned until our next meeting, September 17th, 2025. Thank you to all the staff who worked on all of these files, and thank you very much, committee members.